Hi, I'm Dale LePage.
And I'm Tina Marie Billing.
Welcome to Pride TV. Stick around. Come in, sit back, relax. We've got your Pride TV. We're bringing you some Pride TV. We've got so much to share right here on Pride TV. We're bringing you your Pride TV.
And now, Pride TV with Dale LePage.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another fun episode of, guess what? It's Pride TV now. It's no longer New England Pride TV because as of January, we will be available to the entire United States. So it's Pride TV with Dale LePage, and I'm here with my co-host,
Tina Marie Billing.
All right, so welcome. We have our first guest here, and you are?
Corey Praknik-Rincon.
All right, now Corey is from the LGBT Youth Commission, Is that correct? All
For
right.
the state of Massachusetts.
For the
that's
state of
right.
Massachusetts, which is a big job, a very big, important job. I saw you first a couple of weeks ago at the Worcester Historical Museum as part of an LGBT city forum. Thank you for that. I thought you were outstanding. It was a great night, so thank you for being a part of that.
Of course, yeah.
Now tell me, Tina, and our viewers a little bit about what the mission is of your organization.
Yeah, the commission was founded in 1992, originally as a governor's commission, which meant that it reported directly to the governor, who was William Weld at the time. And Governor Weld was concerned about bullying facing, at that point they were just talking about gay and lesbian youth in schools, as well as the potential suicide risk that these youth were facing. So Governor Weld founded the commission, and then in 2006 it changed into a legislative commission, which means that now we're independent. We've been tasked with the legislature to come up with recommendations every year to tell the state what it can do to improve services for LGBTQ youth. And we also run a program in schools across the state where we do a training and technical assistance for teachers, and we run a network of GSA leaders so that the students have a chance to get some leadership skills, get to meet with other GSA students across the state, and bring that knowledge back to their local schools.
Now, one of the things I want our viewers to know, GSA stands for Gay Straight Alliance, so they might not be aware of that. And there's been a recent study done by I think the Smithsonian. No, I'm sorry. It was by the British Columbia Strategic Force. If you have a GSA in your school, suicide rates in your school are halved. So GSAs, Gay Straight Alliances in schools, are really, really crucial to the mental health of some of the students in these communities. Now, you go out and you well, not you personally, correct? But your team goes out and trains teachers. Who else would they be training?
We train pretty much anyone who works in a school.
Yeah.
You know, nurses are a really important population so that they can help LGBTQ students navigate their health.
Oh, that's perfect. That's key.
Yeah.
Yep, and for a lot of students, that's the only place that they have where they can go get healthcare, especially, you know, healthcare where maybe a little bit more private, you know, compared to going to a family doctor or something like that. We train administrators, and beyond schools, we train other people who work in local and state government, and sometimes folks who work at nonprofits.
So your team will physically go out and train state organizations too?
That's right, yep.
Now, one of the things I want to stress is when somebody has training in the proper, what would you call it, etiquette for the LGBT community and communication with them, the medical community also, as you know, needs to be very much on top of this. And the reason, which you spoke earlier, is that is the part of a person who might be transgender or questioning. We talked about
My son.
your son. It is so important for them to feel comfortable and know that the doctor they're talking to is updated on terminology, on what else do you update them on?
I think using pronouns is a really important thing.
Yes, yeah.
So that people know that it's safe to share their pronouns, and then the healthcare provider knows what pronouns to use.
Yes.
Being able to kind of communicate with family members in LGBTQ families and not make assumptions about people's relationships is really important.
That's really important. You're right. So your organization trains schools, state-run organizations, and who else?
Sometimes other entities like healthcare providers or nonprofit organizations, but schools are our big one.
Yeah.
And what ages do you start this training?
Well, we go, down definitely to preschool level for teachers and administrators and others who work at schools. We're seeing a lot of youth who are either identifying as transgender at a young age, or gender nonconforming, who just aren't comfortable with kind of gender labels, who don't want to be referred to with he pronouns or she pronouns in schools. And so we're getting calls from schools who want to support these students. And I think a lot of people who just want to kind of help to move away from the kind of gendered assumptions that are,
Right.
really baked into the cake at that age level where, we're separating boys from girls.
Right.
We have boys' toys and girls' toys, boys' books and girls' books, and kind of get beyond that, which I think is important beyond the LGBTQ community, for the sake of gender equity, for example.
Now, the Gay Straight Alliance is in schools. Is this primarily just in high schools?
We have a lot of middle schools now that have GSAs as well.
Sorry, I don't have any children. Middle schools is what grades?
And that can be 5th to 8th, depending on the district.
Fifth grade to 8th grade. Now, do you find that having GSA in schools, does it cut down on bullying?
There's been a lot of research done, including a lot of research here in Massachusetts, and it's kind of hard to pin down, exactly what factors at any one school will result in a different bullying level, and to say, it's because of GSAs versus something else.
Mm-hmm.
But what we definitely see in a lot of studies is that schools that have GSAs where the students are encouraged to take on leadership roles, where the students feel they have advocacy skills, those are the GSAs that provide what we call a really strong protective factor for those students, which is why our program focuses on leadership development, helping the students to be leaders in their communities, giving them kind of the tools that they need to feel empowered to speak up for themselves and their peers, because that's what we see in the research as really making a difference.
Now, how big is your organization?
Well, the commission has 50 members who are volunteers from all over the state.
That's
and then
incredible. That's wonderful.
It's very large for a state commission, so we have
great.
a lot of diversity, a lot of people of all age ranges, people from different parts of the state, and then we have a staff of 4 and quite a few consultants who do a lot of the training that we do.
Now, getting back to the GSAs for a second, when you went to high school, was there a GSA for you there?
No, there was no one out in my high school.
There was no one.
No resources whatsoever.
That's the same for me. There was no such thing as a, well, we're talking back in 1977, but it would have been so helpful, so important, just to know you weren't alone. That's if your school doesn't have a GSA, how do you encourage
what would they
schools
have to do to?
Definitely,
Get
they can
involved.
visit our website, which is mass.gov/CGLY, and we can help provide kind of assistance to get a GSA started. When we have the students come together, either in their regions or statewide, the students are kind of getting their leadership development in one room, and then the advisors are getting assistance in the other room to kind of work through anything that they're working on or dealing with at their schools. So we do provide a lot of assistance to GSA advisors as well.
Now, this is so, because I don't know and I love to learn. Do you like hand them like a workbook, a book
Guideline
of
of some
guidelines of
sort,
how
or-
to start that? Do you do that?
Not really. I think it's really a case-by-case basis, depending on where the school is at and what the climate is, what the level of support is. I think there are a lot of factors. Sometimes it's relatively easy to get one going, and sometimes it can be a little bit more of a process.
Right.
And it also depends on if the age of the students, the issues kind of vary, and the size of the school. So in some,
So it's a case-by-case basis, basically.
Definitely,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that the issues are different in different schools, and I think regionally too. At a smaller school in a more rural area, the need for those students is even greater because there is no LGBTQ
Right.
drop-in center or
Right.
anything, but
Right.
it can also be harder to get off the ground because there are fewer students at the school.
Now, if any of our viewers want to get in contact with you, how would they do that? Website, Facebook page, how would that be?
Yep, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, Twitter, but I think our website has a lot of resources.
What's the name of the website?
It's mass.gov/CGLY.
Easy. All right. That's been so wonderful. Thank you for
Yeah,
informing
thanks so
us.
much.
Thank you for letting us know what your great things you're up to.
Thank you, appreciate
All
it.
right. We'll be right back.
Pride TV is presented by Fallon Health and sponsored by Remax Vision, Bay State Savings Bank, Safe Homes, Paul Chasen Interior Design, Nuovo Restaurant, Dr. Frank P. Fetchner Plastic Surgery, Art Reach, Root and Press Cafe and Bookstore, Herd Strategy and Storytelling, and Castanetti Realty Group.
Hi everyone. Hi Dale, it's me, Miss Lady Sabrina, and if I look a little different, that's because I've been painted by Miss Ivy Ligoderia. Look at me, I'm a woman! Alright, so let's get to the topic at hand today. The topic today is toxic people. What defines a toxic person? How do you know you're hanging out with one, and if you are, what can you do about it? So let's talk about what a toxic person is, really. It's not that the whole person is toxic. It's rather their behavior is toxic or your relationship with the person is toxic. Often the person is deeply wounded for whatever reason and they're not able yet to take responsibility for their wounding. Their feelings or their needs or their subsequent problems in life. This may have them act as a victim, a bully, a perfectionist, a martyr. They act from these parts trying to get their needs met, albeit any extremely unhealthy way. It's common for people with toxic behavior to kind of create drama in their lives or be surrounded by it or try to manipulate and control others, maybe be needy. It's all about them all the time. They use others to meet their needs, such as narcissistic parents. They may be extremely critical of themselves and others, or be jealous or envious of others. What also feels toxic to you has to do with your reaction to it. Your reactions may include feeling betrayed, withdrawing, numbness of yourself, or being overly accommodating. This happens when healthy boundaries are crossed and we let go of our values. Both people play a role in toxic interactions, so it's important to consider your role as well. These are signs that you are surrounded by a toxic person. Okay, you're emotionally affected by their drama. You dread or fear being around them. You're exhausted or you feel angry while you're with them or after your interaction. You're stuck in a cycle of trying to rescue or fix them. The other person doesn't respect the word no as a complete sentence. And when you're with them, you feel like you're walking on eggshells. You ignore your own values, you're emotionally checked out, you feel like you're being controlled, or you're being overly controlling. Again, it's important to explore your own role, in the interaction. For instance, how do you compromise your own values or boundaries? Do you lash out because you feel misunderstood or not listened to? Do you withdraw because this is how you react to criticism? What do you do with a toxic relationship? Here's a few suggestions. Tell the person how you feel in an assertive way. Use I statements, for example. Like, when you act this way, I feel. What I need is this. The reason I am sharing my feelings and needs with you is because blank and because I love you. I want to build a healthy relationship with you, etc. Set and maintain your boundaries. Focus on taking care of yourself. Find ways to protect yourself from their unhealthy behaviors. reflect on the relationships, and consider how you're caught in an unhealthy cycle. You know, for relating to the person, for instance, you might be making excuses for them or trying to fix them. You know, if the person's toxic behavior doesn't change, or the relationship is just too toxic for you, send them forward in life with love and compassion, and then move forward with your own life. Ending the relationship may be painful, particularly if you have a long history with the person, but ultimately, you will have created a space for a much healthier and far more nourishing relationship in your life. Take care of you. Focus on your needs. And if these people are in your life, you have to reevaluate the situation. Save what you can and discard what you can't. Your needs are important too. So I hope this helps. I will see you all next month with another letter. Love and light, Lady Sabrina.
Hey kids, and we are back with Pride TV. I'm very excited right now because you've never been on the show before, have you?
No, I have not.
All right. So Lori has been a part of the show since day one, which is 7 seasons ago, and she might not look familiar to you, but she is the woman who organizes our Pride Pet segment. So it's thanks to Lori Drazek, by the way, it's thanks to her that we have found many homes for our furry friends in our Pride Pet segment. So welcome to the show for the first time.
Thank you, Dale.
Oh my God.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for doing the Pride Pets, because there's so many animals out there that are in need.
Well, you know, I'm a animal nut job.
just like us.
Just like you, yeah,
just
right.
like us.
All right, first of all, let's start off by saying to our viewers that you are a licensed clinical social worker.
Yes.
And did you start in the whole pet person advocacy by your work as a social worker? Is that how it started? How did it start?
This is over like a 20-year period.
Okay. We've got 9 minutes. Go.
We have 9 minutes. Go. It started, my first career was in education, administration, leadership. I ran the residence halls at Worcester State College for 11 years. I was the assistant director.
Okay.
It was a good foundation for social work. I went back to get a master's in social work. One of my first jobs was a case manager for elder services.
Okay.
And so I went into this situation, and obviously it's confidential, even though it was 20 years ago. And I found an elderly woman who had mental illness her whole life, severe depression, suicidal over the years, recovering alcoholic, very isolated, very depressed. And what I found was she had this little dog, Bambi, and it was a chubby Chihuahua.
And we're going to put that up on the screen right now. Okay, there's Bambi.
And so this was the start of my whole evolvement over the 20 years, because what I saw with my client and Bambi is she would say to me, you know, I don't want to get out of bed, but I have to get out of bed because I have to feed Bambi.
Because of Bambi.
And I don't want to go outside. She was living in an elderly complex. And I don't want to go outside because I might meet people, and I don't know if I want to meet people, but I have to go outside.
Right.
So I would take her, and we would go for a walk around the complex, and people would stop, and she would literally light up when she talked about Bambi.
Oh.
So Bambi got her out of the house. Bambi, when she didn't want to eat, she would say, I need to eat because I need to feed Bambi breakfast. So I have to eat also. So this was the start of it. I was like, wow, look at what this dog is doing for this woman. And it was the start of my career. And over the 20 years, I've just got into animal advocacy.
You saying you're into animal advocacy
and people.
Is right, but that's just cutting it so short. You are just a huge advocate for our little furry friends and four-legged friends. Are you the horses now? All right, I'm jumping ahead because I'm so proud of you.
I say we need more than 9 minutes.
We do.
A couple of things too, because I have my own story, which I'll try to intertwine. Is I volunteered with Second Chance Animal Shelter for a period of time. And I started a program with the director. It was the pet food pantry.
Okay.
I would take donated pet food to food pantries. And this started in 2008 when the housing crash, the foreclosures, people losing their jobs.
Great idea.
So I took pet food for 8 years to food pantries, and I passed out pet food. And I would hear stories. For example, Wachusett Food Pantry in Sterling, they have a senior day. So seniors go and line up and get their food out of the food pantry on Fridays, the third Friday of every month. And this man came up to me and he said, I need dog food for my dog.
Wow, yeah.
And he said, I want you to know this is why I get up in the morning. He took his wallet out and he showed me a picture of this little dog. He goes, this is my purpose in life. I wouldn't even want to get up in the morning if I didn't have my dog.
So it's the same as Bambi's mom.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
So I started to click with you. And
right. And then switching over, I lost my dad in 2004 after a tragic accident. He passed away. And I'm not a depressed person, but I went into a depression. And I said, oh, social worker, heal thyself. So what I did is I went to grief therapy for myself. And then my partner and I have rescued dogs over the years, especially, as you know, Cocker Spaniels.
Many dogs. This woman has flown across the country to rescue
Minnesota.
Minnesota, yes.
And my partner.
And
I talked
Christine,
her into
and
it.
Christine, yeah, hi Christine. And drove back in a rent-a-car to save a life.
Right.
Yeah.
She had been in a puppy mill.
Sainthood.
No. I would do anything for paws and people because I've seen the miracles that happen with animals and people and the healing that happens with people and animals. So getting back to my story was I went to grief therapy and I started hiking with my rescue dogs in the woods every day.
And you still do.
I still do, but that started with the grief therapy and the hiking, and after 3 years, that got me out of the depression of losing my dad. So it was like, wow, you've seen it with yourself as well as the people that you work with, your clients.
Absolutely.
And so now, besides that, I'm now doing horse rescue.
Well, I'm glad you said that because I wanted to get into that because you surprised me. You went from the Cocker Spaniels to the horse rescue, and I was like so happy because you gave us a Pride Pet segment here about horse rescue.
Right,
It's
and
nice.
I'm still with the Cocker Spaniels. I'm still with, and like I said to you, somebody can call me and said I need a cat or I need to rescue a cat. I know all the shelters and the I know the resources out there if people need help, as in like if they need to rehome their pets, if they
Wonderful.
need to adopt pets, anything like that.
So what got you into the equine rescue?
There's a store called Clem's in Spencer on Route 9.
I've heard of
and
it.
they had an equine day. And
Okay.
I just showed up.
Did it just take that one day?
Yes, because I showed up and they had all these horses and it was equine day. I grew up in the Brookfields back in the day. North Brookfield's my hometown. So I did have horses and did a little bit of riding. I didn't have my own, but rode and not very much, and then got out of it.
Yep.
Anyway, back to Equine Day at Clem's.
Yep.
And I met Vicki Berry, and she started Central New England Equine Rescue with her daughter Betsy. I never knew that after horses either got old or disabled or people lost their jobs or people passed away and the family didn't want to take care of the horse, they get auctioned off. And at the auctions, the kill buyers buy them and they transport them to Mexico and Canada to slaughter them for meat in Europe.
Did not know that.
So,
Don't know if I wanted to ever know that, but I know it now. Okay.
It's when you do rescue
Yeah.
and you're an advocate, unfortunately you have to deal with some of the ugly stuff that goes on. We're trying to educate people, and so we rescue horses now.
Yes.
And we've rescued many over the years. They've rescued over, I think, 500 horses. They have a beautiful rescue out in West Brookfield,
Wonderful.
and I have 2 of my own in Spencer.
And what's the name of the place in West
It's
Brookfield?
called Central New England Equine Rescue.
All right.
So-
Oh, that's what we did the segment, the Pride Pet segment on, I think.
Yes. Yes, and they do great work. And not only do they rescue horses, for example, like if, say, for example, you lost your job and you couldn't afford your horse anymore, and they could take it if they have room.
Nice.
Or we also have foster homes. So if you'd like to build a barn in the back of your
Sure,
house,
let me do that.
we could have you as a foster home
I
for
would
one
love
of our
to build a
mini
barn
horses.
in the center of Worcester.
I think you'd get kicked
All
out.
Well,
So.
thank you so much for everything you do. and all that you are, and Christine too. You guys are amazing.
Thank you for having us.
And
having me on here.
you do
So
work
beautiful.
specifically with the Cocker Spaniel Rescue. I know that because you had a phenomenal fundraiser last October 22nd. Randy Price was there.
Yes, he was.
He's also a huge advocate.
He's helped us over the years,
Yes.
many years, with Cocker Spaniel
All
Rescue
right.
of New England.
All right. Thank you
Thank
so much
you,
for all
Dale.
you do.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be back with more right after this.
Hey, it's me, Amy T, with another segment of Experimental Comedy Therapy. Today, I am at Lesley University participating in World Mental Health Day by volunteering and watching the performance of This Is My Brave College Edition. This is an organization that believes that sharing stories saves lives with living with mental illness and addiction. I performed in the 2017 Boston edition, and I am currently going to be filming for the documentary at the All-Star Show in April of 2020 in Washington, D.C.
I own the road that led me to my breaking point. My success and my self-destruction went undiagnosed for nearly 30 years. Like I had every indication of somebody living with bipolar disorder. And then at the end of one therapy session, my therapist peppered in PTSD and social anxiety, which got really confusing because I wasn't sure what color the ribbon to wear or who to walk for. But being diagnosed with mental illness, it truly saved my life. Like, it gave a name to the shame about the person I had become. And it's also been the explanation, not the excuse, that has allowed me to be someone living with mental illness rather than somebody that is suffering from one.
I'm Marshall, and I'm the co-founder and executive director of This Is My Brave. I thought my life was over when I learned I had mental illness 14 years ago, at the age of 26. For me, that rock bottom was the beginning of what would become something beautiful, only I didn't know it at the time. We're breaking down those unfair societal pressures that tell us perfection is key. It's okay not to be okay. By telling our stories, we normalize the fact that our brains get sick sometimes too, and we need to be there for each other by having these real, honest conversations about how we're doing. Our brave cast tonight is joining our community of storytellers from all over the US and Australia who have decided to be brave and put their stories out there. Over 750 of them who have shared their heartbreaking, inspiring stories on our stages in 61 plus shows so far. It's our mission to get to a place where we no longer have to call it brave for talking openly about mental health issues. We believe it should simply be called talking.
You told us we would not survive us. Guess what? We thrive today. We are invincible. So send us your worst. We're shouting from the rooftop, saying, watch me grow. We're standing up, ready to explode. And when the time stops, jump into unknown. We're standing up, we're ready to show. We are the thrivers of the world. Let's go. We are thrivers. We are thrivers.
I'm so proud to be a part of such an amazing organization. To learn how to get more involved, check out thisismybrave.org and make sure you get a checkup from the neck up. Until next time, everybody, be responsible for the energy you bring into this world. Practice compassion and tolerance. Take care, everybody.
We've come to the end of another episode of Pride TV. As always, I've learned a lot.
Yes.
Yes. And we want to thank our guests, Corey from the LGBT Youth Commission and Lori, who does our Pride Pet segment, and so much more.
Yes.
So we're going to end this show the way we always do by saying, please don't be afraid to shine your light.
Because you might be lighting the way for someone in need.
Until next time, thanks for watching.